you don't have proper education to recognize the fact that there is a deficit. It is the lack of education. When we are uneducated about money, we end up spending money on things that are not valuable to us, that are not adding any value to us. So we're no longer using money as an exchange of value or as a tool in the exchange of value. We are using money in things that are not adding value, or there is no exchange of value. In other words, you are just throwing money into a pit. You are gambling. In other words, you are gambling with money. You are taking the money that you have received, you're throwing it into a pit. You don't get value back. So financial literacy has a lot of things encompassed into it. We have to understand different things when it comes to money. We have to understand financial terms like interest. Every time you borrow money, there is such thing called interest that you pay, and interest is one of the things that kills us when we borrow without understanding it, because at the end of the day you end up paying a lot of money in interest. And then if you, for example, borrow 2,000 rand and you have to pay 2,500 rand back, you are paying the 500 as interest. So without having the understanding of money, when somebody is saying I'm borrowing you money, I'm charging you 30% interest, the lack of understanding and the lack of understanding of the time period that you are tied up in that debt, it leads us to not being able to save, because it will tie us into situations where we have to pay back for a longer period, because of the fact that we didn't understand when it was explained to us that you are borrowing at 30% interest and you're going to be borrowing or be tied up into this agreement of borrowing and lending for a period of 5 years. But without having an understanding of that, we end up not recognizing how much money we have to spend and what we are spending it on, and that leads us to this issue of not being able to save. So in conclusion, the fact that you are in a situation where you are financially illiterate or you have poor education in terms of finances, it leads us into situations where we are unable to save. We are unable to take the money that we have earned and use it properly. We are unable to take the income that we have, use it properly into a place where we can have a residual and then save that residual. When we don't understand money, the income and the expenses, the interest, the profit, things that we should basically understand, it leads us to not being able to save, because you're going to be in a deficit situation. But people who have some education or some form of education in terms of finances, they are in a better situation to be able to take whatever money they have, know that this is how much I'm gonna spend, and just basic knowledge about money. It allows us to be able to manage with the end goal of wanting to save or wanting to have a residual. You don't want to be in a situation where you have 1,000 and you spend 1,000. You don't want to be in a situation also where you have 1,000 and you spend 1,002, which means you are in a hole for 200. You want to be in a situation where you have 1,000, you spend 600, or you spend 800, so you have a tool. By having financial knowledge, it allows us to put ourselves in a situation where we have residual income or we have a surplus, to a place where we're able to make money until we can be able to have other monies coming in, or other finances and funds coming in that we don't even look at, because we are already covered in our expenses and we have a surplus. So whatever money is coming in into your bank or into your space, you don't even look at it, you just set it aside, because your expenses are already covered and you have an understanding of that. So in other words, I just wanted to summarize by saying financial literacy is very important. Reading and writing is very important. Basic understanding or basic literacy is important. Numerical literacy is important. So all these things, if you understand them, there is another layer of financial literacy and understanding of other knowledge that can be applied into your finances or your life in general. So by having financial literacy, you can be able to put yourself in a situation where your finances are better, you manage them better, you can save, you can deal with debt, you can deal with many other circumstances that are putting us down. So by having the ability to save money, it puts us in a situation where we are able to have an understanding and knowledge that helps us to lift ourselves out of debt and put ourselves in situations where we are in control of our finances. So that is what I'm saying. So where can you get financial literacy? Financial literacy, unfortunately, they don't teach us at school. At many of the schools where we go, they don't teach you financial literacy with a focus on managing your situation or putting yourself out of the misery of being in too much debt or not knowing what to do with money. So unfortunately, the system is set up like that. But there are people who are teaching people how to save money. You get information like that on the internet, on YouTube. You can Google it, basic financial literacy. So instead of watching TikTok videos about other things that are not helping you, and you know you have a problem of finances, you can go and learn how to manage your money. You can go and understand and read. There's a website like Investopedia, or you can go on websites like Bloomberg. You can learn about money. Some of the websites are more advanced, some are very basic. So channels like my channel, I'm explaining the concepts of money, the understanding of finances, basic understanding what is interest, that thing that you have to pay every time you borrow money. You pay that money back, you have to pay interest, profit, and every time you get money, you use it to buy something which is of value and sell it to somebody else. You need to break even or make money. You don't have to go into a loss. If it's a loss making endeavor, you don't have to entertain it or go into it. Understanding of principles like that are some of the things that people on the internet, they're teaching you. You can learn, you can read for yourself and educate yourself how to manage money. You can download a budgeting tool like a spreadsheet or a template on how you're going to budget your finances, how to put your finances together. So these are some of the things that I wanted to touch on just to educate us. So thank you very much for tuning in until we talk about another thing or another problem that we have which contributes to us not being able to save. Thank you for tuning in. It's a wrap.